Good afternoon. The time is 12:09. It's October 31. It's Halloween. We have rainy conditions on Halloween, and I was supposed to work this morning, but we got rained out. We are in Sarnia, Ontario still, and it's Halloween, so I thought I would drive around. Maybe we could see some Halloween displays. Pardon me. I just finished eating breakfast. Well, it's breakfast, but it's a late breakfast. At a place called Village Gardens. Kind of a legendary place for myself and a couple of co-workers, as we did end up at the Village Gardens one night. It's a very nice little spot for bevies. Well, we could say heavy drinking, really, because that's what it is. But I was there, pardon me, I was there a few weeks, it's not the COVID, by the way. It's just something that happens when you have breakfast. Sometimes. Yeah, October 31, 2022, Sarnia, Ontario. It's Halloween. Michael Myers is out there somewhere. He wants to kill and murder his sister so that they could all be a family again in death. So the story goes. I am still living in my car. It's been, I think, coming this Saturday will be 5 weeks. So living in your car in the autumn isn't so bad. Further to that, it's not so bad to live in your car in the autumn in Sarnia, because Sarnia has a pretty mild winter. This is Kathleen Avenue. I really like this avenue. It's quite beautiful. However, the people of Sarnia have expressed to me that this is a sketchy part of town. This avenue is one of the worst avenues in Sarnia. Apparently this is sketchy. Now in Manitoba, a street like Kathleen Avenue would have nothing but extremely rich people. Doctors, lawyers, professors at the universities. But for some reason in Sarnia, Ontario, this is one of the sketchiest streets. Now you tell me, is this a hood? Does this look gangsta? Where's all the gangsters at? You got any gangsters in here tonight? I don't see any. I honestly can't see it. I can't see the sketchiness. I see peace, tranquility. I see a really nice neighborhood. A neighborhood you could raise your children in. No exit. Here's a quaint little apartment building. It's quaint. It's little. But I'll bet you it's cozy in there and peaceful and quiet. I don't know if they've got rowdy, noisy, excuse me, drunk people disturbing the peace. You know, people suffering from grave addictions. To be honest with you, I really can't see it happening in there. Maybe. Now in my city, Winnipeg, we have apartment buildings just like that one on Anderson Avenue, and that place is disturbing in my city. This place, I can't see it. I kind of want to live in there. I kind of want to know what it's like. I'll bet you it smells funny. Not bad. But you know, I don't know if you remember being a little kid going into your friends' apartments. And there's always these strange smells, people cooking. Sometimes it's cockroach repellent. Let's take another look at this sketchy street. Look at that tree, it's beautiful. They got beautiful trees here. I don't even know what that, doesn't even have bark on it. I don't know what that is. You'll have to pardon me, I had an egg breakfast, 4 eggs. It's a 2-egg breakfast or a 3-egg breakfast. I asked for an extra one. Now does that guy look sketchy? Look at that, he's got a little puppy dog there. That guy doesn't look sketchy at all. He just looks like a Sarnite, that's all. Look at those spiders. Yeah, Halloween. Canada and Ukraine stand in solidarity. Isn't that nice? Canada and Indigenous people are not in solidarity. But they're there for the Ukrainians. I just had to throw that in there. Laugh if you want. I'm trying to be entertaining here. I got to entertain my many followers. You'll remember from my video about maybe 3 years ago now, I needed struts back then. I still need struts. I haven't changed them. But look at that. Look at these leaves. They got maple trees here. I reckon that's some kind of maple tree. The tree with no bark. A snakeskin tree, if you will. I know one of my friends had a great vision of a snakeskin tree. That might actually be the tree. A snakeskin tree. Look at those scary witches. It's 12:18, so I guess in a few hours what we're going to see is, I think that's a drop in the way. Lots of little trick-or-treaters out later on. I won't be video recording that. I don't know, that Post or Canada Post person looks pretty sketchy. I wouldn't, I'm just kidding. She doesn't look sketchy at all. This is a sketchy street apparently. I got some strange looks when I told the people of Sarnia that I stopped to pause one day and I wanted to look at and enjoy the beauty of Kathleen Avenue. And they gave me some strange looks, like are you fucking nuts? You gotta be fucking joking. Kathleen Avenue? That's like the sketchiest avenue in Sarnia. Look at that. Now, isn't that charming? Can you see those houses? Isn't that charming? That'd charm the pants right off of me. There's a street on our street called Carmen. I believe it's Carmen Avenue. Very similar to this Kathleen Avenue. Very quiet. Very beautiful. Beautiful homes. Beautiful yards. Like, I don't think these people are that bad at all. If this is your sketch, and partly this video is in response to a person who claims to be foremost authority of Sarnia, that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Sarnia. I am a visitor of Sarnia, so I don't know. I haven't lived here, I haven't grown up here, but to me, this is just plain beautiful. Even the sketchy house that I saw doesn't look that sketchy. I'll go up and down this street. Maybe this is part of their sketchy perception. I don't know. But there's Italia Pizzeria. Doesn't look that bad. This is Mitten Street. There's a tattoo parlor there. Probably sketchy people in there. You know, all those tattoo people. Look at this. I'm going to slow down because there's a vehicle coming up behind me. We have a street like this in Winnipeg. It's called what's it called? Let's see. I just saw a house you might consider sketchy. I'm going to turn around. I'll bring this ship around. Look at that beautiful house. Look at that. Look at this street. Wouldn't you want to live down here? Okay, so that porch needs a new roof. They're doing without right now, just like I'm doing without struts. Look at what they did to that tree. The tree with no leaves. Look at what they did to it. Isn't that something? Look at the ghosts. It's a condemned house in a sketchy neighborhood with sketchy Canada Post people walking around delivering checks. I don't know. They say this is a sketchy place. Gangsters. Look, there's the sketchy school. That's the poor school where all the poor kids go. What does that look like? A prison? No. Okay, there's the sketchy manor. Can you see it from here? I'll drive up. We'll come to a full and complete stop at the stop sign so you can take a good look at the sketchy manor. Do you see it? And then I'll turn left. There's a sketchy guy there. No, he's not sketchy. There's nothing wrong with that guy. There's the sketchy place. Probably kids live there. There's probably children in there. There's nothing wrong with that place. I'll admit it does look like a place I grew up in the north end of Winnipeg. The toughest neighborhood in Canada. Oh, there's a vehicle coming up behind me. I'm going to slow her down and let them by. In Sarnia, they drive what seems like aggression. But the weather is so nice here that they drive really close to your rear end. Look at this near wraparound porch. It might pass as sketchy. Do you see that? I'm turning so that you can see that. It could pass as sketchy, but I doubt it. I'm an expert. I think that when people, I was telling you a driving story, so I'm going to come back to that. I think that when people have no respect for a neighborhood, they drive like that. They spin their tires and they got that noisy engine sound, like that truck you just heard. It's because they got no self-respect. So if you don't have any self-respect, then how can you have any respect for anyone else or anything else? Anyways, talking about driving, it seems like they drive very aggressively here in Sarnia, but what it is that the weather is so nice that they drive really close to your bumper. It's 99% of the drivers. Every day they are right on my ass. And in Winnipeg, you could get road raged for doing that. Somebody will slam their brakes and they'll fucking kick the shit right out of you. They might stab you, they might shoot you. Here, it's common. They drive right up on your rear end. And somebody gave me insight as to why. Apparently, it's because the weather is so mild, they don't know what it's like to have ice on the road. So they don't know what it's like to slam on the brakes. There's a classic. And bang into the car in front of you. Because all they get here is wet roads. It's like Vancouver weather here. And the reason is because there's Lake Erie, Lake St. Clair. There's a big truck coming up behind me and he's just rolling in fast. So I'm getting the fuck out of his way. I'm getting the fuck out of his way because there's the church of St. Joseph. This is the Lighthouse Mission. This is apparently sketchy. Look at these houses. These houses would go for like $750,000 in Winnipeg. On the street that I live on, pardon me. Here's another sketchy Canada Post delivery person. No, they're not sketchy. The only thing about, see, that guy is delivering a package, but drives like a maniac. Did you hear him? That's the one that passed me. He just blew the doors right off me. Anyways, they drive really close. They can slam their brakes. If you slam your brakes, they won't hit you. I lost track of where we are. Where the fuck are we? Oh, that's right. We turned off of Kathleen and onto Stewart. Let's go right. I did a couple turns, so I lost my orientation. So this is an older neighborhood. He's right on me. That's that same guy. There he goes, J&J and Sons. Driving like a fucking maniac on Halloween Day. Oh, that one looks spooky. It even says Elm Street. But I don't know about you guys. There's nothing sketchy about this place. I even think that, like on a nice sunny day when the leaves were out, it was just beautiful and peaceful to park here. There were no dogs barking. Did you hear that? I'll tell you about what that is in a moment. There might be a second one. Did you hear that? Okay, I think that's it. So Sarnia is targeted by the Soviet Union, the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. There's your all clear sign. For nuclear strikes, so they have these horns all around. Whatever they are, loudspeakers. I'll go right. I'll go right so you can see those charming homes. And so those are warning sounds for. All right, that's sketchy. I'll show you what that is in a moment. We'll come back to that sketchy thing. But they have warning signs because there's 62 petrochemical plants around Sarnia. That's what makes this town so rich and wealthy. These 62 plants, this area accesses natural gas and refines it, turns things into plastic and rubber and all of that. There's all kinds of plants all around that do all different sorts of things. But it can also fuel tanks and jets and other war machines. So this would be a major war machine if it ever needed to be. And so this former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, now known as Russia, who is currently at war with Ukraine, sees this area as a threat and have targeted it, as assessed by United States security and intelligence and the Canadian Secret Service, also known as CSIS. And so the children in school are taught very early about these warning sounds, and they're educated in ducking under a desk, a futile effort against nuclear strike, because if it does come, ducking under a desk isn't going to do a damn thing. So that's the story behind that sound, and they test that every Monday at 12:30, and it's 12:35. So you heard that about 4 minutes ago. Kind of an ominous sound on Halloween. But the sketchiest thing in Sarnia is, to me, in my opinion, is extremism. Now you're welcome to believe whatever you want to believe. It's just when you get extreme about it, the extremism of it. Well, I was gonna turn this car around, but the extremists are right there. Let's see if I can get it from a different angle. Oh yeah, that's sketchy. Sketchy. Look at this. They didn't even paint. Can't even afford paint. Okay, I'm going to turn, and then on the right side you should see some extreme signs. But see, this is the thing about this place. I'm not sure what the education system is like here, but it doesn't seem... You see that? So that's the sketchiest thing I've seen, is extremism. The only reason that sketches me out is because it can be real. I mean, an insurgency is a real threat. That dog is a threat too. That dog looks like it can rip some kid's head right off in one shot. And it's off the leash. In Winnipeg, you can't have a dog like that and off the leash. First of all, you can't even have a dog like that. Apparently, this is the toughest hood in Sarnia. Apparently, a reasonable person wouldn't be caught walking after dark in this neighborhood. Now, somebody in the YouTube comments on another video said, you should drive around at night when people are out. It just looks like you're driving around an old neighborhood, they said. Well, it's what it looks like at nighttime too. In Sarnia anyways. But this is different. This is a nice, to me this is a nice neighborhood. I wouldn't mind going for a walk in this neighborhood. In fact, we go for walks in neighborhoods like this in Winnipeg. It is a little bit of an older neighborhood though, and that's it. could have went. Apparently, in this neighborhood, when you're stopped at a red light, you don't want to look at the person next to you. They might get offended and want to and see you as a threat. Oh, you might actually see someone who looks a bit sketchy. Either they're dressed up in Halloween gear, or that's one of the Freedom Convoy people that we just looked at. Is that a gun in his hand? Or is that a phone? It's just a phone. But yeah, this is, to me, I don't see a problem with this neighborhood at all. We are looking for the Kathleen Street. Now, we've driven down this road before. There's a house for sale. Oh, it's sold. That's the Wellington. I don't know, man. This does not frighten me. I do not feel threatened. A quick story for you. I think I can turn here. Yeah. A quick story. Today we were talking about aggressive driving and safety. Because we all have to drive to work. So we were talking about road rage and driving aggressively. And so I shared a little story about my time at the University of Manitoba, where we studied in Intro to Psychology and Introduction to Sociology, and there's a couple of other psychology courses. Motivation is one, child development is another. There's a Stewart Street. So we're probably driving parallel to Kathleen Avenue. Here's Mitten Street north again. So this is the street that we didn't, this is the side we were, I wanted to turn left, but I turned right instead. So some of this will look familiar to you. Anyways, out of those psychology courses, they talked about aggression, and it's called the Frustration Aggression Hypothesis. Look it up. I can't remember the person who was studying this, who published this study, but in the Frustration Aggression Hypothesis, it says that aggression is likelier to occur when you are feeling frustrated. Aggression is likelier, not likely, but likelier when frustrated. And so the example they give is a fridge. We've talked about this before. You want to get to the food in the fridge, but there's a barrier in the way. Something's in the way. Maybe something's stopping you. Maybe there's chairs, maybe there's a security guard standing there, I don't know, but you want to eat something, it's in the fridge, you're trying to get there. But a better example is you're on your way to work, okay? We're in the car, we're driving, and we're trying to get to work. And maybe, so our goal is to get to work on time, and maybe we want to get there a little bit ahead of time so we have time to decompress after traffic. But we start hitting all of the red lights for some reason, and we're just stopping and stopping and stopping and stopping. This is the haka, but it's also known as, and widely known by the Sarnians, the Sarnites, as Dempsey's. Dempsey's. So if somebody says, let's go to Dempsey's, you're going to haka. Okay. You're hitting all the red lights, just like crazy. Why are we getting all these red lights? So you're starting to experience frustration. It's called frustration. And so frustration, it invokes a powerful emotion. I'm not sure that frustration itself is an emotion. I think that frustration is an experience, maybe. Or if we could talk about it philosophically, I don't know, psychologically. But the point is the more frustrated you get, the likelier you will become aggressive. So I guess it depends on how goal-oriented you are. If time is your constraint and you want to get there within a certain amount of time so that you can have time for yourself, let's just say those are all the other variables that are coming into play regarding your motive, your desire to get to work on time while we're driving through this very sketchy, nightmarish neighborhood on Halloween Day. Okay, see, I want to go past this, but this car is stopping and there's somebody backing a trailer and doesn't know how to back a trailer yet. Doesn't know how to put their hazard lights on. So you have to find a way around. So if you're highly motivated, you really want to get somewhere, you're goal oriented, you're super motivated, and then you're experiencing all kinds of setbacks, all kinds of things that are frustrating you. Like right there, that guy is clearly frustrated to the point of aggressive driving. Look at him go. I could smell his diesel. I could smell his burning oil, his burnt out engine. Now here's somebody who is less frustrated, less goal oriented. Look at that, peaceful. I just frustrated one guy, and then another person is obviously of a different level of maturity, a different level of consciousness. Peacefully passes me, while the other one aggressively does so. So that's the frustration aggression hypothesis. You're likelier to become aggressive, or yeah, is that how it goes? Frustration aggression is likelier when you are frustrated. So you just saw an example of that. Sketchiest neighborhood. I wouldn't mind sending my kid down here for Halloween trick-or-treats. Probably a lot of good families down here, a lot of good other kids, I bet. Probably make lots of friends in this sketchy part of Sarnia. God, that's a sketchy corner store. I have to show you how sketchy that is. That's their word for this place, sketchy. A buddy of mine was telling a story about how they had overheard a bunch of people talking about how bad it's getting in Sarnia. It's just getting so bad. It's just getting so bad in Sarnia. You can't even leave your car doors unlocked. You just can't even leave your car doors unlocked. You know when the last time I heard that story? The last time I heard that story, I was 13 years old. 1984. Oh, Winnipeg, it's just getting bad. Is this getting bad in Winnipeg? You can't even leave your doors unlocked. You can't even leave your windows unlocked. There's a sketchy, look at this fucking place. I gotta admit, this is a sketchy fucking corner store. But you know what? I'll bet you it's not even sketchy. I'll bet you it's not. Look at that. Did you see it? Did you see it? Is there any gangsters? From what I've seen about this sketchy neighborhood, is a lot of the men and women and people in this neighborhood, they present as tough and scary, but they're not. Those are my struts. This is getting worse after 3 years of driving. So, if you think about the frustration aggression hypothesis, you know, when you're growing up and you're poor, you have a little bit less than other people, you can't do things that other people are doing. You know, you're not really experiencing life in the same way as other people who have more. And it's not that having more is going to give you a profound life. Oh, see how friendly this is? Everybody's waving. You can't see them, but I can see them waving. They're just waving at each other happily. But you know, they have access. When you have more money, you have access. Like, you don't have a basketball, but and a hoop and a net and a driveway because you live in an apartment. You don't have access to that because you're poor. You don't have a home. You don't even have a fucking basketball, but you want to play basketball. So you're reminded, your desire to play basketball reminds you constantly of how you can't play basketball because you're fucking poor. So it reminds you of how poor you are. And that's frustrating, especially for a little kid. And you're out and about and walking around and you see a bunch of kids playing basketball. Kids don't play basketball outside anymore. I don't know where you would go to find that, but I'm just telling you a fucking story here. Or you walk past a group of kids and they got all of these tiny action figures and they're playing G.I. Joe. I don't know, maybe I'm old. Maybe you come to some kid's house and they got all the fucking video game consoles that you don't got. And they got the big screen TV. There's Sophia's Diner. It's sketchy in there. Admittedly, it's sketchy. I've eaten in there 3 times. Really good food. Holy fuck, they got good food in there. But it looks like it's from the 80s. It still has 1980s lampshades in there, the 1980s tables. So when you're growing up in a neighborhood like that one, let's say that's the poorest neighborhood that they got here in Sarnia, you're a little kid growing up and you're just surrounded by poverty. But even in an environment of poverty, there are other kids who are not as poor as you are. So your poverty is relative to others. It's relative. They call it relative deprivation. You don't know how poor you actually are. You haven't seen poor. You don't know poor until you know poor. Poor can get pretty fucking poor. Anyways, apparently the brain can get itself pretty wired and permanent too to this feeling of frustration. And then unless you've, I guess, learned ways to cope with your frustrations, you're always going to feel aggressive. You're going to come across as aggressive. You might not notice it, but others might. Now this is where we started off. We're on East Street East, I believe. This is Wellington Street. And here's Kathleen Avenue, the dreaded Kathleen Avenue. So, your whole life is determined by your environment because you're looking around and you don't have much. You don't have access to a whole lot, so you're constantly in a state of frustration, which is you're likelier to become aggressive at times. You know, teachers really ought to learn this shit so that they know who they're dealing with. It's a little 8-year-old kid, for Christ's sake. It's not a fucking demon child from hell. They're frustrated. They're feeling aggressive. They're aggressive because they're frustrated. But these emotions, now I don't know if frustration is an emotion, but definitely when you're aggressive, you're angry. And anger is definitely an emotion. And it's also like it's a highly motivational force to be angry. I mean, you might kill someone because you're so angry. You might do things you wouldn't normally do out of anger. But the emotion of anger has a deeper connection to the emotion of fear, a state of fear. And you're afraid because you're constantly feeling threatened. Things are threatening you. And when you're threatened, you're not feeling safe. You're not feeling secure. And you need that. That's one of the pillars of a well-balanced human being. Safety, security, stability, and love. You need all those 4 pillars. They call it the 4 pillars of a well-balanced, healthy human being. Well-balanced, healthy, developed person. Now, an unhealthy, unbalanced person is someone who is in a constant state of fear for no reason. We call that post-traumatic stress disorder. And those states can be triggered by certain events. Here's a basketball net that I was just talking about to solidify the story I'm telling you. Somebody can afford a basketball hoop. I don't know if they can afford the basketball because you need the ball to go with the hoop. So you can have a personality that's developed out of this constant state of fear. It's called a personality disorder, in which post-traumatic stress disorder falls within, I think it's cluster B, personality disorder. According to the DSM-5, I believe it is, or now, or 6, it might be up to. Look at them, they're getting ready for Halloween. There they are. Can you see them? Did you see it? Oh, sketchy house. Did you see that sketchy house? The windows are boarded up. Apparently this is the sketchiest neighborhood in Sarnia. And so you have some people who are coping with a constant state of fear and threat when there's no reason to be afraid or threatened. Racism does that. It creates that instant, it triggers that instant state of threat. Because if you're white, if you identify as white, and part of that white identity is white supremacy, so you're superior to everyone, every other race, white is the superior race, you'll always see other races as a threat to your sense of superiority. So for example, if somebody beats you in a race and they're not white, that's a threat to your identity as a white person, because your white race tells you that you're superior. It challenges your thoughts and beliefs about white supremacy. When you see poor people who are white living homeless in Vancouver, Hastings, from what I'm told, a great majority of them are white people. Why would you even see white people homeless? It's impossible if race is true and the white race is superior to all other races. There should be no homeless white people. There should be no people with disabilities that are white. It would be impossible. They should all be black or red or yellow, but not white. That's the logic of white supremacy. I don't know about you guys, but some of these houses are $1 million homes where I'm from. Telling you right now. But we know that race doesn't exist. It's been proven or disproven, totally abandoned by science for over 100 years. But most recently, since 1970, In the very least, look at that beautiful house. That's a $5 million home. And it's in the sketchiest neighborhood in Sarnia. That's the Union Jack, so obviously there are elements of white supremacy in Sarnia. I get a little, since the Freedom Convoy, I get a little afraid of seeing Canadian flags and Union Jack flags. When I see that now, I wonder, is that a Ku Klux Klan member? You see them a lot in Sarnia. They fly Canadian flags off the side of their car. They fly them off their houses. When I see a Canadian flag ever since the Freedom Convoy, I kind of wonder. It's got me wondering now. Is that the KKK? You know what, I think I'll drive over to the nice neighborhood now. Look at these fucking houses. Pickup truck coming. There they are. 1, 2, 3. Isn't that nice? What's wrong with that? Let's go drive to the rich neighborhood. It's on the other side of the 402. Red light. Now I'm goal oriented and I'm motivated to get to the rich side of Sarnia and show you what the wealthy, richest part of Sarnia looks like. And I got a red light. I'll probably get red lights all the way. Look at that fucking dog. Probably a friendly dog, but it can bite a little kid's head right off. I don't even know. I'm so turned around, I don't even know where I'm going or if I'm going in the right direction. I did find that in Sarnia, it would seem that people get big mean dogs like that for protection. Why? What are they afraid of here? Other people? I haven't seen one fight in Walmart. I haven't seen one shouting match in any parking lot. You know how in your city there's always some shit going down, some parking lot, some Walmart and some mall. Somebody's fucking fighting somebody, trying to stab somebody. Maybe somebody's getting shot. Shit goes down, but not in Sarnia. In Sarnia, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to turn, I don't even know where I am. I'm going to turn right. In Sarnia, the most peaceful city in Canada as far as I'm concerned. Bright Street. Cameron Street. That Home Hardware looks down here. I know. I'm going the wrong way. This is totally illegal, but they don't really have cops here. Incidentally, I saw the most action I've ever seen in Sarnia. 6 cops showed up at the Tim Hortons near Lambton Mall. They call it Lambton Tim Hortons. To escort someone who was smoking something inside the men's washroom. never seen a fight. That's the most action I've ever seen, and I've been here 4 months now. Oh yeah, this is the hospital. So probably in about 7 minutes we'll get to the richest part of town, and then we'll drive through what I think is one of the most beautiful driveways you'd ever seen. And then you will see the difference between the rich and the poor in Sarnia. The true relative deprivation measure in comparison. But first, look at this house. It's an old one. It's still going to be worth about $6 or $7 million in Winnipeg, because it's so fucking beautiful. I guess if you are living in an environment in Sarnia that seems hostile and aggressive and threatening, I guess it depends on your experience and your perception of what it is that you're experiencing. And everyone's unique. Everyone is different in this regard. No two people can experience the same thing, the same event, and have the same experience of fright. Damn, another red light. My frustration is increasing the closer I get to the wealthy part of Sarnia. So to some people, Sarnia is a pretty frightening place. There's crackheads and coke dealers and Hell's Angels here. I don't even know of any street gangs. I've never seen a single street gang. We saw that guy all dressed in red. I don't even know if that's a gang color. In Winnipeg it is. Seems kind of stupid. Hey, we're all going to dress in red. We're going to start a gang. Or all our colors are going to be black. We need something to make us stand out and be unique. Let's all dress in red. Red shoes. So the bottom line the point that I'm making is that when you're insecure, you have an insecure personality. It's because you're in a state of fear and threat. That's why you're not secure. You need to be secure. You need to have security. When you feel safe, then you're less likely to be in emotional distress and to act on your emotions. Now, some of you folks out there watching this video, listening to me talk, you know what I'm talking about. You know the hood. You know the hood. And some hoods look worse than others. Now, I showed you my hood, and I know my hood is fucking dangerous. People die there. It's the murder capital of Canada. They say Winnipeg hasn't been for a couple of years, but it's... Oh I'll roll up the window because I don't want to be frustrated by the sound of that truck drowning out my beautiful voice telling you great stories. But ever since I was born, Winnipeg has always been the most dangerous city in Canada. Worse than fucking Toronto. Worse. There isn't a neighborhood anywhere in Toronto or the greater Toronto area or in surrounding cities that is as bad as Winnipeg. I don't care what you say. It's been that way for as long as I've been alive, and I'm 51 fucking years old. As far as I'm concerned, I'm about as gangster as it gets in Canada. I'm about the most gangster. I'm gangster. I'm the OG. I fucking survived that shit. You don't know gangsta unless you've grown up in the North End, and if you haven't, then you're never gonna fucking know. Officially, you didn't even notice it, but we are now in the richest part of Sarnia. But we're gonna keep going. By special request, we're gonna go and show you the wealthy part. This is an extended version of our usual episode. It's a special edition. So, this is a lesson for employers as well on the Frustration Aggression Hypotheses. Now, we know that by law, we want to engender a safe, secure, stable working environment to facilitate a peaceful working environment, an environment where your employees want to come into work. You see, what's going on right now is employees, after the pandemic, have been allowed to work at home. They don't want to go back to work. They don't want to go back to the office. And I'll tell you why. I'm telling you why right now. Because the office is a toxic, harassment-filled working environment. And a toxic working environment is an unsafe environment. It doesn't engender safety. And an unsafe environment is an environment that an insurance company doesn't want to insure. So, if you want insurance, you want a work environment that isn't toxic and doesn't have violence and harassment and threats and intimidation, anything that would engender a feeling of threat. We are now in the wealthiest, in what I would call one of the most beautiful drives in all of Canada. Speed limit down here is 50, but everybody drives 60. So I'm going to frustrate the hell out of the convoy of cars behind me. And you will see some true wealth. So if you're an employer, what you want to do to create that feeling of safety and security is you don't want to do anything that would threaten an employee. Like you don't want to use negative reinforcement to discourage behavior. If you want to increase productivity, you don't use negative reinforcement. You don't do anything that would threaten someone. You don't use the stick. I don't know about the carrot. Maybe we'll get there. But what you want to do is to make sure that your employee feels safe. When they feel safe, they're happy to come into work. Well, think about it. Think about it. If there's nothing stopping you, why would you not want to come into work? If your workplace is the most safe, secure, stable, and nourishing, rather than love, nourishing environment, who would want to run away from that? There are people, though. People who see safety, security, stability, and nourishment and love as a threat are people who have never experienced that. They don't know how to experience that. So they get all scared and they run away. So if you're an employer and you want to engender that even in a person who's insecure with safety, security, stability, and love and nourishment, then you have to facilitate that. It is incumbent upon you as the employer, the person in power. There's the speed limit and somebody's right on my tail here, right? Like I'm doing 53 kilometers an hour and they're right on my ass. Not because they're driving aggressively, but because they don't know what ice feels like. Let's say a little kid ran in front of me, I could slam my brakes on and so could they. They're not going to hit me. There's almost never ice here in Sarnia, apparently. But look at this drive. This is where the wealthy live. Are you seeing this? Are you feeling some relative deprivation? These people are so wealthy that you don't even know what the fuck they're doing with all that wealth. They're not at Walmart. They're not at Tim Hortons. They're probably not even in Sarnia. I'm just going to keep going. Oh no, I'm going to turn here. If you come on this side of Sarnia to shop, I guarantee you the prices are going to be better. I don't know why. Rich people already have lots of money, but the prices are better here. Actually, I know why. Rich people, like poor people, don't want to spend money. They don't notice it when they do, but they don't like the people who own the department stores, the grocery stores here. You could easily take advantage of the wealth here and charge a little bit more, but they don't. They charge less for some reason. And I guess if the rich people found out they were being charged, they would say that they were being exploited. Well, that's capitalism, right? Which is what the rich neighborhood really is a neighborhood full of capitalists. But they're always giving special price. Special price. I'll give you special price. Now these people are Diamond Direct distributors, I'll tell you that much right now. I'm going to tell you that much right now. We're going diamond. Money buys these people a little bit more access. A little more access to safety, security, stability, and love, or nourishment. Not only that, you can pull up to that safety, security, stability, love, and nourishment in one of these fine vehicles. How do you suppose Halloween's going to be like on this side of Sarnia? We're going to call this one the Special Halloween Edition. We've been down here before. The funny thing about Sarnia is that I've never seen one single act of aggression. When the police arrived at the Tim Hortons this morning, there was no incident. There was no tasering, there was no shooting. See, when I see flags like this, I don't even know what the fuck's going on there. Is that a Ku Klux Klan flag? When I see Canadian flags, I wonder, is that a Ku Klux Klan thing? There's a tricycle over there. I haven't seen a fucking tricycle. So there you go. These are my thoughts on Sarnia. My thoughts on social inequality. The one thing I like about Sarnia is that they seem to use their wealth well. So when we were driving around in that neighborhood, you saw different missions, right? Like Northland Mission or something. But those are places that help poor people. They provide them a little more access to safety and security and stability. I'm not sure what they do here in Sarnia. Surely they can't be taxing the rich that much, but maybe they are. But they seem to really take care of the people who really need it. Because you don't really see a whole lot of homeless people here. You do see them, but you have to be out and about and living in your car like me every day. Every day I'm in this car and I go to sleep in this car and I'm living in Sarnia and I'm working in and around Sarnia, and I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life here, because that's what Sarnia does. that's what these petrochemical plants are doing. It's providing a lot of people a lot of wealth. Now that's not an argument for big oil. It's just that big oil can afford to do that. In a way, I'm betraying my own conscience. See, there's another one of those flags. I don't know what the fuck that is. Some kind of British or English or Scottish or Welsh. But there, you know, when you're flying a flag, you're making a statement. And I'm kind of wondering, what's the statement? Like when you see those vampire movies, those old ones, they pull up a cross and it somehow repels a vampire. That's a statement. That's a powerful statement. Just like that house right there is a powerful statement of power. So my own conscience, because I work for a company that provides services to a petrochemical plant, that's why Sarnia exists. There's a lot of wealth here. Now, as far as mental health, like you've seen the folks who are severely suffering from addiction, from meth addiction, from crack, cocaine, and other kinds of addiction. Priests. Okay, we're in a private area. I don't even know if I'm allowed to be in here. I don't want security coming to shut me down because I'm Aboriginal. And sometimes when police are involved with Aboriginal people, they just shoot and figure it out later. Because they can get away with it. So I better get the fuck out of here. So anyways, in Sarnia, you might see one or two people. In the last 4 months, I've seen two people that I've recognized, that I've seen around. If you're in Hastings, there's so many fucking people suffering there, you'll never recognize. Well, you might not, anyways. All right, that's Lakeshore Road. That's the fancy ride we were on. I don't know, can you imagine coming home to this and having beers? Let's pretend this is my house. I'm gonna pull up here. No, I'm not. It's not my house. But let's pretend that was my house. Or yours. And we were coming in for beers. Because it's a day off when we got rained out. So it would seem that Sarnia, the Sarnites, have somehow found a way to placate the severely afflicted and suffering. The Sarnites have found a way to lower crime, to provide safety, security, stability, and a nourishing environment for even the poorest people. They somehow found a way, because I've never seen it in any other city. Vancouver's per capita has to be richer than Sarnia. And yet you have Hastings. You got Los Angeles. Probably Los Angeles has a better GDP than all of Canada. Probably. So there you go. This is the richest neighborhood in Sarnia. And apparently this grocery store, Sunripe, is the wealthiest, but apparently it's also the most expensive. It's the best place to get groceries, they say, but extremely expensive. So I'm just going to pull over here, and we're going to call this the end of the special edition, Halloween, October 31. The time is now 1:35. I don't know, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care, people. War Chief out.